Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, John Purdy is undoubtedly one of Ireland's most successful entrepreneurs. Not content with growing one business to €200 million, John has also achieved unicorn status with a spin-off company before navigating a successful exit. So what is the secret to his success? He joins us now to reveal all. John, I'd like to take you back to 1993 when you co-founded Ergo. Did you ever imagine the growth that the business would enjoy?
It's a great pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me, Carl. Well, I'm incredibly humbled by it and very proud of it. Myself and my co-founder, Tim, who has since passed away, always thought we could build a global business, a big business. So even when we were a very small business, and there's only two or three of us, we were doing things that we would expect to be doing when we were a big business. So, we were very, very much into strategic plans. We're very much into budgeting and forecasting and making sure as the business grew that we were pivoting on a continuous basis into value-added services and high-value services that customers really wanted. So the ambition was always to be a scale business.
And talk to us about your service offering.
We're a broad technology provider. So part of our business is very much cloud. It's very much AI. There is a managed services element, which means that we're managing organizations, complete IT estates are part of it on a 24/7 global basis. To facilitate that, last year, we shipped 7 colleagues from Dublin into Auckland, New Zealand to build a follow-the-sun model, and they've got 2 years to set that up before they come home. And that's gone extremely well. So, the offering is expanding on a continuous basis. We've made 5 acquisitions. So when we look at an acquisition, we look at what can we do to enhance our proposition, our leadership, our people, and our profitability.
And what was the key to building the business to what it is today when you take out the acquisitions?
So I think it's having a team that has a very healthy attitude towards change. When we hire people, we're saying we're hiring them for the future. We're not hiring them for what they can do now. We're hiring them for what we can do collectively together. So there's this absolute obsession about staying relevant to the customer. We call ourselves a 31-year startup. So we stay fresh. We're very entrepreneurial. And customers have told us the reason why we win large contracts is because we're agile and we're entrepreneurial. And that's not just me as one of the founders being entrepreneurial, but the whole team. We understand that we've got to compete against some big global giants. We've got to be always on our game, always looking to improve, always adding value.
And John, how did you build that culture of agility within the organisation?
So I suppose you build it day by day, and it's very much around the leadership of the business and making sure that they have the skills to hire people who have like-minded skills. We say quite frankly at interviews, if you're not comfortable with change, you should go work for one of our competitors because we are all about change. So we're now a very large business with 200 million. We're not stopping there. We've got a 5-year plan, and we're 2 years into that 5-year plan. And that 5-year plan will hopefully bring us to 400 million by 2027, 2028.
Now, in 2010, you created Fergo, a spin-off company of Ergo. What was the thinking behind this move? And did you have any concern at the time that in building another company that Ergo might suffer? Because you know that Chinese proverb that says, if you try to chase 2 rabbits, you're bound to catch none.
Yes. So, it was a huge bet at the time. It came from the fact that about coming up to the financial meltdown, 40% of our income was coming from Tier 1 and Tier 2 banks. And almost overnight, all of that business evaporated. So Bank of Scotland and Ireland, which was our biggest customer, we were running everything in their organisation from a technology perspective. And that just stopped. It just went off a cliff pretty much overnight. And, the accountants in the business were saying to me, okay, we got to get rid of all these people. And I was saying, some other people were saying, we've got a lot of smart people here who we've spent a lot of time and money evolving and developing. What else can we do? So we turned the offering into a a compliance offering, which had been becoming very evident from what was happening in world capital markets. And we used our technology and our platforms to build a solution to deal with know your customer, anti-money laundering, financial fraud, etc. And Fergo is now the undisputed leader in that space globally, which employs 1,200 people and has a valuation of close to 1.5 billion.
Fergo turned out to be a very shrewd move because it gained unicorn status in 2021 after raising 500 million in funding. But how did you manage your exit from that business, John?
Well, I'm still a tiny shareholder, and I'm very happy to be a tiny shareholder because it's a very big number. And it was right that it did exit because the Ergo team didn't have the capital or the expertise to grow it. And Mark Murphy, who's my nephew, is the CEO, and he's driving that business really, really hard and bringing in some fantastic people and winning some phenomenal accounts globally. And it's a company that's really highly regarded in the banking technology, fintech space globally. So, you know, we could demonstrate to the rest of our staff that we had the ability to grow a business. So interestingly, when Fergo stepped out of Ergo, our business was about 30 million. But that gave us the ambition and the wherewithal, because there was more cash available, to grow the Ergo business into a global business also.
John, you've had to overcome many the major challenge and problem over the past 31 years in business. But I'm wondering, what is your approach to solving serious problems?
So I'm a great believer on surrounding yourselves with people who are really honest with you, who are trustworthy, who tell you the raw truth. And I think I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. I want to make sure I can have the smartest guys that I can find and I can afford. And then we collectively make decisions. We collectively take responsibility for the failures and for the successes. And, you know, within Ergo, we have a concept which we call one Ergo. So we all jump together out of the airplane with one parachute. So we all survive or we all fail.
4 years ago, you handed over the reins of CEO of Ergo to Paul McCann. Was this a difficult decision for you to make at the time?
4 years ago, I spent the summer, I was 58. I spent the summer thinking about, should I keep doing this? I've been doing it for 28 years. I still had a huge growth for the business and energy for the business, but I fundamentally felt that it needed a new lens. So at the end of the summer, I called Paul, who was at that point our chair. He had just finished 2 terms as managing partner of Grant Thornton. And I said, Paul, I think we need to start thinking about a succession. He said, when? By the time I'm 60. And a week later, he rang me, and I'll never forget the words. The words were, look, I like driving buses. I'm now down the back of the Grant Thornton bus, and I prefer to be driving another bus. Can I be considered? And we spent 3 months talking about that, agreeing terms. I also agreed with him that I would not meddle. So I'm not seen around the place. I don't have a desk in the place. And for about 3 or 4 months, every morning as I shaved, I was telling myself, remember, you're not the CEO of Ergo. And part of the reason I was able to, I think, navigate that situation is I started to get involved in other startups and scale-ups, mostly as an investor, stroke chair. And that keeps me very busy. I'm working with some great companies, such as Dimply, which is a business that helps financial institutions, clients, manage their money in a smarter way and in a more visible way, etc. I'm working with a company called Beyond BMI, where the CEO, Dr. Harriet Tracy, a medical doctor, is dealing with the 3rd largest chronic disease globally, which is obesity. I'm dealing with a company called Endeavour. In fact, I'm sitting in their office now, and they're dealing with large automotive companies in the US and airlines about applying IoT technology to vehicles or vessels. So I work with companies that want to scale, that have ambition, where they'll at least listen to me. I don't pretend that I have all the answers, but I think maybe I've learned some things on the way and they might want to listen to it.
John, you were certainly a man that has his finger on the pulse when it comes to the tech world. So what trends are coming down the track?
We're seeing a whole lot of activity and interest in artificial intelligence. And, you know, people are very understandably ask the question, is this going to affect how I work in the future? The answer is yes. But I bring people back to when the internet was first launched, and we thought that all of our roles would be gone, we'd be all redundant. In fact, what it's done is created new activity. I'm not fearful of it. In fact, I embrace it, and I encourage other people to embrace it. I think one of the things that concerns me that I'm reading in the media is the approach to data centers. Data centers are the fundamental reason why one of our economy is performing as well as it is. I understand that the reason why we need to be aware of the damage that this has on ecology, etc. But there has to be a solution. There has to be a solution to be able to satisfy both. And I think politicians are great at looking at one side without looking at the other side. So, the other thing I think we're starting to see is the rebalance of people no longer working in their bedrooms and starting to move back in some way into the office. And, I say this to my two sons, you cannot learn from sitting in your bedroom. You can do a job, but you're not putting yourself in the shop window. You're not learning from osmosis, etc. So you need to be in the office a couple of days a week. So I think the ecosystem in Ireland, particularly in the indigenous technology sector, is incredibly strong and getting stronger. And I think Enterprise Ireland have a huge part to play and should be congratulated for what they've done. I was fortunate enough to be selected in 2007 and 2008 to go on a course in Stanford University in California called Leadership for Growth, and it was getting a lot of negative press at the time. But fundamentally, look back and look at what has happened to all the people like me who have taken an ambition to be global and activated it, and are now reinvesting their money in new startups, etc. So I think the future is really bright.
John, finally, I know you like to share your 3 Bs with aspiring entrepreneurs. What are they?
Be brave, be bold, and believe.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was John Purdy from the Ergo Group, and I'd like to thank John for sharing his amazing success story with us this morning.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.